Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining me every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do share with your friends and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. We have Emma Venkatesh back with us. Welcome, Emma.
Namaste.
Yeah, very nice to see you. We know you're pretty busy, not only with your work, but also with your next book.
Yes. Thanks, Milan. It's a pleasure anyhow to join you and your channel and your
Thank you so much.
viewers.
Yeah.
And
We've
happy Pongal
completed
to all of them.
30,000 subscribers now.
Wonderful. That's a huge number.
Yes.
But I'm sure you should be touching 100,000 and 1,000,000 very shortly.
With your blessings. Thank you.
No blessing, wishes.
Yeah, thank
Don't make me an elderly statesman.
you. No.
I'm not in that age group.
Thank you for reminding me.
And I don't intend to join the Margdarshak Mandal.
Yeah. So back to what's happening in UP, Venkatesh. See, in the UP election 2022 opinion poll, it is projected that BJP is likely to hold over 41% vote share in UP in the assembly polls. Will BJP prevail or SP will make a comeback? This was conducted by Z News. So what do you think are the chances of BJP coming back?
Okay, I have 3 colleagues of mine from Varanasi.
Yeah.
And they provide me far more raw footage, or I would say raw data, than many of these pundits sitting in the rarefied Latvians air-conditioned rooms or heated rooms and talk about UP. But first thing, what I can talk about, I see that there seems to be some sort of a consensus in the whole of the Latvians media that BJP will score somewhere between 40 to 42%. Somebody says 41, somebody says 41 and a half, somebody says 42, somebody says 40 odd. So there seems to be some sort of a consensus around 40%.
Yeah.
Now BJP, if I recall well, in 2019 elections, unless somebody can bear me out on my statistics, scored somewhere between 48 to 50% votes in the 2019 elections. And probably something slightly higher or slightly lower in the 2017 elections and still lower in the 2014 elections. But, the sweep has been phenomenal in the last 3 elections that we have seen in 2017, 2014 and 2019. Now coming to 22, my guess is that BJP will be around 42%. Let us assume for a moment, in the sense my guess is predicated on these surveys. Even then, that will show that around 6% drop in the votes minimum between 2019 and 22. That is alarming for me because 6% vote drop should not happen. And secondly, what I'm worried about is that though this time it looked as if it will be BSP versus SP versus BJP versus Congress, as we near the polls, I fear that the Congress and the BSP, already Mayawati, she's not contesting, the Congress has not named its chief ministerial candidate, and in fact it has gone to this extent as if pretending that it will not contest or campaign during the run-up to the elections because of COVID. So both BSP and Congress are trying to see if they could push their voters to vote for SP without actually announcing a grand alliance. Alliance will not work because alliance means it's caste combinations and other things. This is what happened in Bengal also. Bengal, it looked like to be a 4-headed monster. But as the polls were closing on, the Communist Party and the Congress Party did not campaign, did not do their very best to get even that double-digit % of votes that they were originally hoping. And tacitly, their cadres were instructed to vote for Mamata so that the BJP juggernaut could be stopped. So this is a lesson that we have to draw from Bengal and see, is it at play at UP? If it is at play, And if there is going to be, because Mulayam stands around 33-34%, and if there's going to be 6 to 8% difference between BJP and Mulayam,
Hmm.
now if you add 42 to 33, you have 75. You have another 25% votes
Hmm.
that will be waffling between various parties. And if people feel that it is the best way to actually stop the BJP juggernaut by voting for Akhilesh, then the floating votes and the hardcore cadre votes may shift tacitly during the election, silently, to SP. So the question is not whether BJP will poll 42%. The question is probably as candidates get crystallized. In fact, how badly will BSP perform? How badly will Congress perform? And how will they ensure transfer of votes from their own parties to the SP? This is going to be the crucial question. And if Bengal model is replicated, uh, I would shudder to think that BJP may find the 6% loss of votes is a huge loss.
Yeah. So, but what's happening, Imad, there? See, you're looking at the kind of money that they're finding, at some people's homes, like Piyush Jain, and also the fact that, see, they are projecting goons. Many of them are goons with terrible backgrounds, as candidates. And people are already aware of what the kind of work that Yogi ji has done rather silently. Uh, how come that they will vote for? Will they vote for progress or will they vote for goons and blackmailing and riots and whatnot?
Mina, you have to understand. As I said, I will now bring the raw footage or raw data from my three colleagues. It's very interesting that the Prime Minister landed in the highway, converting a portion of it into a runway not so long ago, probably a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
That stunned the nation, and people probably from your part of the country or my part of the country were looking at it. Oh, and here is a prime minister who is landing on a jet in a highway, and all of us were thrilled. But that doesn't move UP voters. That doesn't move the heartland voters. The heartland voters are still struggling with their day-to-day living. It is caste combinations. Whether my caste person will be manning the police station, will he be the tehsildar, it will be the person who will be in charge of the village administration. So these are the questions that they look at. And if Mulayam comes or Mayawati comes, they have a track record suggests that they have been favoring a particular caste or their own caste or community, which has roughshod on the others. So there is a huge fear factor. I'm sorry. There's a huge fear factor in the local population for voting this. It's more or less a negative vote for BJP also in ways than one, because if you look at what Yogi ji has done, he has tamed the mafia substantially. Women, especially Dalit women, Muslim women, women in small towns, girls, especially of the age 18, 21, those who go to the college or go for employment, are finding it extraordinarily safe at this point in time with Modi ji. So these are the factors that actually will swing the pendulum one way or the other decisively. Yeah. But it is more caste, more of religion, less of development that will be discussed. Of course, development, all these things will probably matter to a small chunk of the population. But Ram Mandir, which is now being built, the corridor in Kashi, all these things have an extraordinary bearing. In fact, I can tell you again from the experiences of my colleagues, they tell me very interestingly that the Kashi Vishwanath corridor, which we all are so appreciative about, has led to local resentment. Why? Because they believe that the target was supposed to be the Jnanavapi mosque, which still stands, which has not been disturbed. On the contrary, several temples and several dhams that were surrounding the main temple have all been razed to the ground, and people who were getting their daily allowances or whatever from the as pujaris, as families who are in and around this, are extremely unhappy that they have lost their livelihood.
Yeah.
Now, from a distant point, it looks also jazzy. So look, here is Kashi, so brilliant, so beautiful, so nice. But when you go and listen to it, the long and short of the points that I'm making is local factors and sub-local factors, extremely local. This may be in 4 or 5 streets of Varanasi, in and around the temple. I'm talking about extremely local factors, extremely localized factors. Then, of course, you have the caste, then you have the religion. Then probably comes these highways and superways and expressways and this and that, which obviously will find resonance in the speeches of the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister. And of course, even Mr. Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati will be speaking about it. But those are all peripheral issues, in fact, as far as Hindi heartland is concerned.
Yeah. And what do you think, with BJP getting in the Mulayam Singh's daughter-in-law into their fold, what are the chances of her, making some sort of change?
See, it is in chess when you play. When your opponent cuts your pawn, you also cut his pawn at the earliest, so that the parity is restored. So that you want to show that look, you have cut a pawn, and they have taken a couple of BJP sitting MLAs and ministers who have joined the Samajwadi Party, and BJP has retaliated, and this lady, the second son's daughter, has been highly dissatisfied because her son is, her husband rather, is not being projected as the chief minister. And obviously there will be some sort of resentment in the family when one son is being projected and the other is not. In all Hindu, it is called Hindu divided family, not Hindu united family or undivided family. So there will be some resentment, and this is what is manifesting. And Mulayam's family is no exception to this general rule of Sas and Bahu having differences of opinion, and both the Bahus having differences of opinion. So this is only being exploited by the BJP, and I'm sure they are adept at it and they are entitled to do it. If you cut a pawn here, I will definitely cut a pawn. That's all.
Apurva is asking you, but what will make the same folks to vote for non-BJP?
No, I'm not saying that they will definitely vote for BJP. I'm sorry if I've given that impression. I should withdraw it and clarify. I'm only saying that a Bengal model happened where people underperformed and made their core voters transfer their vote to Mamta. Yeah. Now, that is how Mamta pipped BJP to the post in the last 4 or 5, at least 4 rounds. She virtually swept Bengal. That is what is my worry, and this is my analysis, that the BJP must guard itself. But if 49 to 42, even let us assume that BJP wins with 42% votes, it's a substantial vote, so no doubt. But if it is dropping from 48 or 49 in 2019 to 42, that itself must cause some sort of worry if these polls are any indication. Actually, they must also see how they could consolidate their votes. Probably the Apna party or some other parties, small parties are, about to join the BJP, and I'm told that alliances are there. So these are all things that turn every day. These are things don't get crystallized or formalized till the last day of the election. But BJP must be on guard that there must no repetition of Bengal model. That's the point. I think that's the point I'm saying. Let us forget the percentages here.
Yeah. So what Chitra is saying is what you're saying. BJP will win as Mayawati may split the votes, which could go to SP.
Which some portion can go to BJP also. Yeah. Some portion can go to SP also. We don't know what is the minds. I'm only saying that on the downside, the BJP must be prepared. If everybody is going to come, Mayawati's entire 20% vote or 16% votes transfers itself to the BJP as people, some people hope, then BJP will get 42 plus 16, 58%. Then you don't have to talk anything. You are talking about 350 seats. The upside will automatically take care of itself. We are always, as analysts, only worried about the downsides. We have upsides will automatically take care of itself.
Yeah. Meanwhile, moving to Kejriwal, he's seen hopping, skipping, and jumping to all the places, Punjab, Goa, UP, hoping to win. And he was seen coughing with no mask. He announced on January 4th that he contracted COVID-19, but 5 days later, on January 9th, the Delhi chief minister declared himself clear of the virus. Throughout all the videos that are going viral on social media, he can be seen coughing repeatedly while interacting with others. Is isolation not important for them? What are his chances in these states?
Okay, I would put it this way that if I recall, I was just searching for a tweet that I had put in not so long ago. It's about Thomas Paine talking about Napoleon and passing a very uncharitable comment about Napoleon. He says he's some sort of a character that I cannot repeat it on this. I know I did tweet it. Kejriwal is probably Thomas Paine has not met Kejriwal. I don't know what he would have said, and he would have said Napoleon was Lord Vishnu incarnate as far as Kejriwal is concerned. He is one slimy character who cares nothing, and he believes all of us are fools and we have no memory at all. He doesn't believe that we have short-term memory. He believes we have no memory at all. And he will be what he is because this charlatan has virtually gone scot-free. For which again I will say Delhi BJP has to be blamed because last two elections virtually Delhi BJP was outflanked by the AAP brilliantly. In fact, both Amit Shah and Modi have no clue to this charlatan who somehow or the other seems to have made deep inroads, not only in Delhi now, but now seems to be, it is general consensus amongst Lutyens Delhi media that Aam Aadmi Party has some sort of a chance this time around in Punjab. Of course, last time also they gave it till Amrinder gave them a huge backing. And this time around, they believe that Aam Aadmi Party may actually succeed in forming a government. If that is the level of growth of the Aam Aadmi Party in a state like Punjab, and Aam Aadmi Party is, I believe, a core anti-national group which has no respect for the rule of law. It is a vociferous tendency. It is susceptible to manipulation. It lends itself to manipulation. It wants anarchy, and I don't know why that the BJP has not been able to tame him in a measure that should not have allowed him to grow in a very border sensitive state like Punjab. And they are also trying to make some inroad into Goa. So COVID, no COVID, coughing, no coughing, that's a smaller order of smalls. But my belief is that if he is able to perform substantially well in Punjab, or reasonably if he even polls more than 10% votes in Goa, I think Indian democracy needs to do a very serious introspection as to where it stands.
Yeah. And they are projecting this drunkard as a chief minister.
Well, for that again, for 10 years, the BJP tolerated the SAD. And the sad part of the SAD was that it was encouraging drug addiction.
Yes.
And now this is the norm, that you have a drunkard who is now being projected as a chief minister. And probably there will be some other party which will be projecting a rapist as a chief ministerial candidate. And the third party will be projecting some sort of murderer. And you are left with a choice where somebody is a drug addict and somebody is a drunkard, somebody is a rapist and somebody is a murderer. And I'm sorry that all of us know that this Man Chappie is highly prone to alcohol abuse. And but if this is the choice that is being thrust on Punjabi people, who are one of the most patriotic, hardworking, sincere set of people, I would say that somewhere down the line, the local Congress as well as the local BJP have to take the blame.
See, there were two videos that went viral. One of Man, walking very unsteadily and being pushed into a car because he was drunk. Then there was also of a DK in Karnataka, also doing the same thing in a Padayatra. So it seems image or people watching all this doesn't really matter, because they want scoundrels, they will get scoundrels. Right?
Yes. Get the government you deserve.
Yeah. So in Goa, Emma, I think Sabi has also joined the BJP. And how do you see the scenario in Goa?
See, as far as Savio joining BJP, I think he has long been supporting the BJP, and joining
Yeah.
the BJP, I think has, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
I do not know whether he has got a ticket. The way recall a couple of days back, I saw a tweet that it was hinting that he was getting a seat.
Yeah.
But this morning, I was speaking to somebody who said, no, he has not got the seat. I was telling him that I must phone him and congratulate him because he has got a seat. But he said, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, he has not got a seat. So let it be as that way. I have not got any confirmation. If you get the confirmation, I'll be happy because he's
Yeah.
one sensible chap.
Yes. Would
Uh,
have made a difference.
but yeah, definitely good people have to join the BJP, and BJP also requires some sensible people like Savio. And if he's going to get the ticket, I'll be the happiest person apart from his family members.
Yeah.
But I suspect whether he will get the ticket because knowing BJP very well, I don't know whether they will ever give a ticket to somebody like Savio. Now, what was the second part of your question? I think we got.
So what's happening in Goa? Who again? You
Okay.
have all these people, TMC and
See, it looks to be that Congress may lose a good percentage of its votes to both Mamta and to Aam Aadmi Party, and it's such a small state, statistical sampling, and projecting this analysis into 40 seats is very difficult. It doesn't lend itself. UP is too big. Goa is too small, actually, and that's a problem. So a state like Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, you can easily project, whereas it becomes very difficult for a large state like UP, which has three or four different pockets: Uttaranchal, Purvanchal, then the our Bundelkhand area. All these have different characteristics, different way in which they vote, their mindset, dominated by several different castes also. So there are several supplies. Whereas Goa is too homogeneous. There is probably a good number of Christians, good number of Hindus, very small smattering of Muslims, and probably Sikhs are virtually not there. So how the minority votes will spring? Because it could be that Muslims don't have that amount of say. Who will join whom? And there are Hindus in the Christian in Congress. There are Hindus in the BJP. There are Christians in the Congress, Christians in the BJP. So how it will all pan out and how the church will influence the Christian voters is all something that I'm not able to fathom. But from the way all these analyses are made, BJP seems to be slightly at the defensive in compared to other states in, say, Goa. Probably there is a fatigue setting in and no charismatic leader like Manohar Parrikar. And if this chief minister is able to pull it out, it will be amazing victory. I wish him all the best. But at this point in time, it looks like BJP may find it difficult, or it may be a touch and go affair for it.
since they projected the same chief minister again, apparently BJP have full faith in him. And how do you think Goa fared under this chief minister in the past few years?
See, I have two or three friends over there who tell me he's performed reasonably well, and Goans are by and large happy with him. But see, elections, if you look at Tamil Nadu, for instance, EPS was a reasonably loud chap till the vote was cast. And everybody said he's so amicable, so friendly, so jovial, everything. But people just voted him out, and he's nowhere to be seen after the elections. And it's all Stalin. Stalin got something around 50% votes. DMK and Congress got 50% votes. So liking somebody is one thing. Voting somebody is entirely different, because Yogi has that charisma. Yogi has that huge pull, and despite the projection, that's why I suspect this projection, because 42% looks to be somewhere some sort of a suspect projection also in terms of vote share, because BJP, if Yogi has done something positive also at the ground level, this is not getting reflected. Especially women voters tend to be ignored in any sampling, especially lower caste women, Dalit women, Muslim women. All these are not adequately represented in any sampling. So is there a sampling bias that is affecting the voting percentage of BJP in, say, UP to the extent of 42%? My guess is as good as yours. Similarly, in Goa, again I tell you, the chief minister has done reasonably well. But does it mean that people will vote for him, will be enamored with his charisma, will move ahead and vote? I don't think that he can carry it all the way. Probably Prime Minister has to go there and help him out. Probably there is Amit Shah and several other cabinet ministers who may have to carry him along. And along with this added factor, the chief minister being a well-known, well-performing chief minister, like what happened in, say, Assam, the BJP may sail through.
But wouldn't it be better than people like Priyanka Gandhi, putting bikini models as candidates?
Well, see, Congress somewhere down the line has lost its complete marbles. Now, I was live on the evening when GST was being ushered in. You remember the Prime Minister it was late into night and probably well past midnight when the whole thing happened. And at that time, the Congress boycotted the parliament. I said a DMK may boycott the parliament for GST. But GST was the brainchild of the Congress for 30 years. They navigated it through from 86 to 2016. From VP Singh's time, as Rajiv Gandhi as Prime Minister, VP Singh as Finance Minister, brought in excise duty as a value-added tax, and they wanted to get it in. Then they had the Skelkar committee. All these things, Congress had repeatedly talked about it, only to boycott at the 11th hour. Somewhere down the line, this can happen only when you are now being seen as a 2020 avatar of the Muslim League of 1940s. Congress is now as good as Muslim League. Many of us have not seen Muslim League, Jinnah. Yeah. We have only studied history or heard about them. But Congress believes that anything good that happens to this country, anything that is, and there is no constructive criticism. It is opposition for the sake of opposition. I have not seen one Congress leader telling us, look, this is what the BJP has done. We do not believe that this should be done. We do not approve of this. And we are giving this as an alternative. We believe this is the way we should go ahead. If the Congress wants to do this as a serious, it should be taken as a serious political player. I think it has to look inward. It has to introspect. Now, as far as this models, I know it's titillating to say the least. I think Goa elections will be very colorful thanks to Priyanka Gandhi. But this is the thought process of the party. Politics is such a serious player, serious game. It is next to serving the Lord. Yeah. It is next to your prayers. You cannot take it casually. And this is the length or depths to which it has plummeted. I shudder to think that what will happen of this country should BJP fail. Now, it's not a question of only Congress. It's a question of democracy. It's a question of us having alternative thoughts, and democracy thrives only in plurality of thoughts. Yeah. If Congress is a non-starter, even to be, I cannot utter the same words as you described the dress of that candidate. I feel very ashamed and sensitive to use the same words. But if this is going to be Congress, I think we are in for deep trouble.
Yeah. Actually, Jayanti is saying Savio's got Velim Goa seat as per his own.
Well, this is what I read. But somebody from Goa told me, no, officially they have not announced, though he has started door-to-door campaign. This is the tweet I also referred to.
Rajiv is saying UP being a large state has a lot of development which was long pending, while in Goa being a small state has less work to be done. So let people decide the best person through elections.
Obviously, we have no other choice but in a democracy to allow this to happen.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what's happening in Tamil Nadu? Stalin really has a problem with even in the case of the temples, and also recently, like yesterday or today, 2 children were shown in a small play abusing the Prime Minister. What is happening there? I mean, what sort of an agenda are these people throwing to society?
Okay. I would say that 2 children, I have not seen it. I don't know whether they were using any abusive terms. I don't know whether they were criticizing the demonetization.
Yeah.
And I think the BJP is well advised not to be too sensitive to any sort of criticism, as long as there is no abuse. Now, when there is an abuse, yes, of the Honorable Prime Minister or anybody for that matter, you, me, anybody, we have to come in. But the larger issue is that right from kindergarten, there is a very clear agenda which is being thrust on innocent children so that by the time they become 18, 20, they believe that Hindi is something sort of being imposed. A sort of victimhood narrative is being projected. Oh, we are a wonderful Dravidian race. For the last 5,000 years, we have conquered everything. But this Aryans and Hindi speaking, Sanskrit speaking, I don't know who speaks Sanskrit in these days, but a devil is being created out of the Sanskrit speaking people, Brahmins, North Indians, Marwadis. Everybody is a villain, and you are a victim of that villainy. And so that we have to somehow fight them out. It's a state which is psychologically tuned to seeing everybody with hatred.
Yeah.
This is a state which is perhaps the most compassionate, yet the great servants and great people who have showered only love and affection on all throughout history. Tamil literature is full of such wonderful writing by the great saints. But unfortunately, all that has been buried fathoms deep. All that remains is the last 50 years of Periyar's teaching, Anna's teaching, MGR, Karunanidhi and all. And in this, DMK and ADMK is as different between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Unfortunately or fortunately, the BJP somehow seems to believe that the ADMK is a nationalist force and the DMK is a separatist force. I see no difference between the two. And I would even hazard a guess here, and it will shock your breath, that there is a good chance, I would put it as 30% at this point in time, that by 24, a DMK can be in alliance with the BJP. I repeat, by 24, DMK can enter into an alliance with BJP. They have already done it in 98. So 98 to 2004, there was an alliance between DMK and BJP. It can repeat itself in 24. 20 years later, it can get repeated. So BJP also does not want to attack DMK full hog. And DMK, if you see, they will do this hit and run, scoot and run. They just have some programs here and then they will say, oh, these children are being targeted. Yeah. How can you do this? This is how you place the women, the children in the front and then start carrying on your agenda. And BJP doesn't seem to have an answer to this strategy.
Nisha is asking, can you ask Amar about the teleprompter incident of Modi ji?
My teleprompter is failing me to answer this. Okay. See, we have to understand one thing. And that's why once upon a time I used to give lectures using PowerPoints. Somebody told me that you have a PowerPoint, but if something happens that day, you are screwed and you can't speak. Instead, they told me to write it on a piece of paper and then, main points and do it. I found that also very disturbing. Now, then I decided I will do extempore in various places. Last evening, I was in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and had a memorial lecture to the great chartered accountant D. Rangaswamy. We believe that time has come that these PowerPoints and other things are, at least I believe that PowerPoints are not helpful as far as I'm concerned. I think 20 years back it was a struggle for 6 months, but I managed it. Coming to the Prime Minister, I think he's an extraordinary orator.
Yeah,
and there is nowhere anybody can even match his oratory, the voice, the sarcasm that he brings in at times, that the seriousness that he raises instantly. It's like a roller coaster ride whenever you listen to the Prime Minister.
Sometimes it's also like a lecture.
Anybody. There is not even anybody in this country who can be a patch on the Prime Minister, who can match him for his oratory skills. But that WEF program, I think there was a technical glitch. And if suppose my internet connection fails me at this point in time, I'm sure I will also fumble
Yeah, exactly.
for a few seconds. It happens to everybody in a
Everybody.
court also. It happens when we are
No,
speaking
but
suddenly.
Mr. He's being criticized by people like Rahul, who can't even speak extempore, and who doesn't know what he's
Who is this
speaking.
Rahul?
Sometimes he's speaking,
Who is this
things that are
Rahul?
not even connected with the, situation.
You have not answered my question. Who is this Rahul? Okay. You don't want to answer. You are too shy to answer it. Okay. Forget Rahul. It can happen to the best of us when we are stunned by the fact that something has lost and it's not in your control. You want to know, you want to find it out. That's all. The Prime Minister paused by the time I think the technical glitch was overtaken the events. And as we saw, it was not that the teleprompter, without the teleprompter, the Prime Minister cannot speak.
Yeah, exactly.
We know for a fact and the country will not be taken into these type of nonsense, and you're trying to reduce the ability of the prime minister. You please criticize him on your economic policies, on foreign
Yeah,
policy, on other policies. You
exactly.
are entitled to, provided you give an alternative, as I said.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
don't dare to criticize the prime minister on his strongest point, which is oratory skills. And the nation will never ever, including Sonia Gandhi, if she's asked to vote between Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister, who is the best orator, I'm sure she will unhesitatingly vote for the.
You're talking about a lady who reads a speech from a paper that has a very huge font, and we don't know whether it is English or whether it's Hindi. It seems like
No,
English.
English. It is English for every Hindi speech. Okay. So she is a person who doesn't read Hindi, or for that matter, any Indian language. And she has to be, it has to be written in English. I don't know whether English new alphabets and the Italian alphabets, whether it's in Italian also. We don't know.
Okay. Another question from Jayanti Iyer. Please ask MRV about Antrix Devos scam.
Okay, I will not go into the scam for a simple reason. It is in public domain. Time is also short, and
Yeah,
I don't want to go into it. But
yeah.
if I am the scamster, I will be the happiest person. Why? The BJP has got an excellent track record of coming and breastbeating in the TV channels without taking action on the scamsters. I don't know what the finance minister was doing last evening at 4:30. She came, she wept as if she was in the opposition. It stuns me that the BJP's tolerance to corruption is phenomenal. If the finance minister or the prime minister comes and tells the country that, look, we have jailed these people, we arrested them for Antarix Devos scam, I would be happy. Now, 8 years you have been in power, and you come and tell as if you are a spokesperson of the opposition party and trying to point out something which all of us know. Antarix Devos deal, 2G, CWG, everything has been buried. And every congressman believes that as long as Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues in office, it is the safest bet to be a corrupt person under Manmohan Singh. Every person has been given some sort of protection. I'm disappointed with the BJP in the manner in which they have handled corruption, and I do not trust them that anymore that they will ever handle corruption without let or fear. Everything is politics. Everything you put them on the hold. You want to checkmate them. You want to use them for something else. So you don't want to punish them. So every corrupt person has to only willy-nilly note to them and play ball with them. BJP will not take any action about that. I am thoroughly disappointed. Today, corruption at every government officer level is so huge, rampant. It is eating into the vitals of our country. Nobody is bothered about it. Nobody is talking about it. Of course, the Prime Minister is clean. His cabinet ministers may be clean. But officers below are highly corrupt. IT officials have become highly corrupt. Enforcement Directorate has become an extortionist directorate or extortionist department. We have come to this conclusion. Even CBI officers are corrupt now, and I'm appalled that BJP is now not talking about corruption, not talking about punishing the corrupt. I'm thoroughly disappointed.
This also happened when the Prime Minister was stuck on the bridge in Punjab for 20 minutes. Smriti came out with a wishy-washy speech, and that was it. Nothing was done after that.
See, again, they think that press conference करना है, that is the end objective. Press conference करना है, tweet करना है, बस. And I have finished everything, and I have done my duty, so everything will take care of itself. Now here is a prime minister who was going by road, appalling. Going by road for 100 kilometers, 110 kilometers, appalling. Stalled in a highway, appalling. Stalled in a highway which is a drone shot away from Pakistan border. I shudder to think, what type of country are we? If we are not a banana republic, this is the definition of a banana republic.
Yes.
Now, if you ask any BJP leader, अब तक आपने चीफ सेक्रेटरी को क्यों नहीं बुलाया है? अब तक आपने क्यों डीएसपी को, डीजीपी को बुलाया नहीं है? There is no answer. I cannot believe that this party does not know to wield power. These people in BJP have not read the constitution. They do not know what is the powers that are vested on the central government on maintaining law and order vis-a-vis states when these type of events happen. I'm not talking about general law and order. We are talking about breakdown of law and order. If this is not breakdown of order, what else is? When the prime minister is stranded in a highway for 15-20 minutes. And BJP are happy and they have forgotten about it. They have forgotten about this event. You and I are agitated about it, that the prime minister convoy was locked. There's a press conference कर दिया. बस अभी क्या करेंगे? I cannot see a bunch of duffers than this.
Meanwhile, in Kerala, MR, after Suresh Gopi's faced a lot of opposition because his movie proved to be a huge hit, Kavalan, and again, this was by the same faction who were praising, the Marakar movie, which is Lion of Arabian Sea, Mohanlal's, and now another movie by Unni Mukundan. He's another very good hero who can act very well, called Mepadiyan, is being attacked for showcasing Seva Bharati ambulance, because the Lord Hanuman statue and of that and portrayal of the actor as a Hindu. So why is one section of society spreading this kind of hate campaign and demeaning the artistic freedom in a movie? This is the same section that glorified Marakar, who plays a very small part in Kerala's history.
See, Kerala is something which is beyond comprehension of the normal people. Even Swami Vivekananda said something to that effect. It's Kerala is a madman's house or something like that. Now, as far as this is concerned, artistic freedom we have seen since Rajiv Gandhi days, when movies were used to be banned, or cartoons are being banned in India just because some denomination do not want that cartoon or that movie. We saw Da Vinci Code. We saw it in whenever it hurts the Muslims or the Christians, we are so ultra sensitive that we tend to ban the movie, novel, cartoon, speech everywhere. But when it comes to Hindus, you can ridicule anybody. You can make fun of any god, any goddess, any practice, any ritual. You can just do whatever you want, and nobody should be questioned. And if you question, you will be lampooned as being intolerant. You will be said you are having a narrow parochial view. Hinduism is this. Then they say you are not a representative of the Hindus. So I am the representative of the Hindus. I know for a fact, and this is very important, Meena, that I'll tell you this. I don't talk about something personal, but I can tell you from my family. My father's elder brother was an authority on Ramayana, and he would, without hesitation, sit down in a Sri Rama temple on a Ramanavami day and say that Lord Rama was wrong in killing Wali from behind. And the great Rajagopalachari in his book Ramayana has explained it. Wali asks Rama, and Rama gives the explanation. Then Wali says, I accept your explanation, and he dies. And then Rajaji says, neither do I accept the explanation of Lord Rama. No, we revere Lord Rama.
Actually, no, that's true. That is a very big disappointment in Ramayana.
Exactly. we Hindus, we believe that we can critique the Lord. In that sense, we
Yeah.
believe. But my uncle, after doing this, will go before folded hands before Lord Rama, take
Yeah.
the prasad from Lord Rama with all humility and come back. So you have to understand, we have different buckets and we act in silos. When Lord Rama has to be criticized or Krishna has to be criticized, we do it with all fervor. But at the same time, we believe that they are God and we don't ridicule them. We don't bring down their stature. This is now happening with every single stand-up comedian, or if you ask me in any of this talk shows or TV shows, you find, and Bollywood is known to do this. So once we gave the writing of movie scripts to Muslims, these Muslims, always showed every Hindu villain will come with his tika and everything. Whereas every Musalman is shown as a pious, very loving, caring. These subtle messages in Bollywood and in Tamil films and Kerala movies, you don't have to even be subtle. You can be bindas, you can do whatever
As
you
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And this is being carried on too far. And I am glad, I must tell you this, that a bishop in Tamil Nadu criticized Bharat Mata so heavily that an FIR was registered and he went to the Madras High Court for quashing the same. Justice G.R. Swaminathan, who is one of our most erudite judges in Madras High Court, uh, refused to squash that FIR, and he pointed out very interestingly that you are not a comedian, you are a bishop, you have certain responsibility, and if it were done by a stand-up comedian also, this is acceptable. See the large-heartedness of the judge. But he says you are a priest who are preaching, you have no
Yeah.
business into criticize. You go and say what Jesus did. You convert people, you talk to them, spread the gospel. I am fairly acceptable. But you go and in a church stand, and why do you criticize the other temple, other gods, other religion? What damn thing that you have got in your mind, that you are such a sick fellow that you are criticizing other religions standing in your temple? That is why I believe that these type of people, not only these movies have to be boycotted, they must be boycotted, socially ostracized. Nowhere should they come for any public function. If they come, people must walk out. If they are giving any award, they must be protest. If they are seen in public thing, they must be protest. And protest must be done very dignified, without resorting to violence. And we must put our viewpoint. And the best way is to boycott them economically. Tell them that, look, if you do this, we are not going to buy these products which you are endorsing. We are not going to see this movie. We are not going to do this. That is the message that Hindu consciousness, and it is happening. Believe me, it is happening. But it is to gather pace, and it has to be done more pointedly.
See, in the case of America, even before the movie was released, they got the national award. Okay. And when I was criticizing this, how facts have been changed, in Twitter, you get a whole host of trolls from Kerala, who say that, see, what's wrong with you? And, all the four-lettered words, everything comes because they're protecting, they're superhero and saying that this history is okay. They've not even read the history. They don't even know what happened during that time. You know. But because it is in favor of them, it's fine. That sort of thing. And anything that supports Hindus and Hindu movies, is boycotted. Meanwhile, Emma, in Delhi, the Delhi High Court grants bail to 6 murder accused. Justice Subramaniam Prasad passes the order while allowing the bail pleas of Mohammad Tahir, Shahrukh, Mohammad Faisal, Mohammad Shoaib, Rashid, and Parvez. The 6 men were accused of being part of a mob that murdered 20-year-old Dilbar Negi. You remember, Imar, his hands and his feet were chopped off. And so many other atrocities were created during that time. A girl was gang raped, she was killed, and she was burnt, and she was put in the drainage. Another police officer was killed, and put in the drainage. And these people have given them bail. How is this possible, Emma?
See, this bail. In fact, I was talking to a retired judge a couple of days back, and I was expressing my anxiety on this. I cannot um, reveal the full conversation because I should not let down a private conversation of a retired judge in public. But I can tell you, first, bail is discretionary, and bail is usually given and must be given. This is my standard argument, that bail must be given to everybody because you are prejudging the case. But in case of gang rapes, murders, terrorist activities, narco terror activities, in case of narcotics, in case of money laundering, bail should be denied. This is an exception. This is a carve out, which the Supreme Court very recently said. Generally, you give bail for all these petty things, but when it comes to bigger things like money laundering, narcotics, terror, all these things, you deny bail. It is really surprising. I must admit, I can't say something more. I'm a practicing lawyer. I hope you understand my constraints of going beyond a point. I respectfully disagree with this judgment, and I hope it will be overturned by the higher court, especially the Supreme Court, which has very recently passed a very clear guideline on who should be arrested and who should not be. This is a case which falls into the minority bucket, or the bucket which is carved out as an exception. I think they should not have given bail. I don't know what compulsions the lordships had and the facts that they had that allowed them to give this bail.
Same is the case with Franco, Bishop Franco. That's the
Oh,
same
that is
thing.
horrible.
Yeah, people
That
are
is
so angry.
that is a horrendous judgment. That in fact, the trauma of a lady who has undergone repeated rapes, uh, perhaps men cannot even fathom and to understand what it is. And I do not know whether the judge was a lady or was it a man, and if so, did he take into sensitivity in this case? Not that I disagree with the final judgment. That's entirely a different thing. And the manner in which this judgment has come about has shocked me, and I have not read the judgment in full. But I think this is too juvenile approach to be taken in a serious rape case. I think this is not done.
KB is saying, ma'am, even the recent ghastly rape of a 14-year-old in Alwar, Congress is covering up for culprits. Why no action? How long women and young girls will suffer in our country?
Yeah, this is again another. See, any rape, whether it is in Kerala or Rajasthan, doesn't elevate us as a nation. And as men, we all feel ashamed that we are having animals amongst us which is roaming, and unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism to tame them.
Yeah.
And how long will our daughters and sisters suffer? This puts me off very seriously. And as a nation, as a society, we need to think about it. We are at one end, we respect women. We do pujas of women. We raise them to the level of being gods and goddesses. But at the same time, these type of things do happen. But one thing is there that we must all note, that if you tamper with the sex ratio, and once the sex ratio falls below 950, 920, adequate women are not available for men. And this is what I have dealt with elaborately in my book also. That this is not a justification by any chance. This is a natural outcome. I'm using the words very carefully, because we indulge in and good portion of a 50-kilometer radius from Delhi, or 50, 75 kilometers into Haryana, into Rajasthan, are all areas where the sex ratios are very skewed in favor of men and against women. Sometimes it falls as low as 900 to 1,000 men. So these type of things are a product. So if a long-time solution has to be taken, we have to increase the sex ratio, and that is why Prime Minister was warning us, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, all these things. are not mere slogans. These are all things that will start giving you results 20, 25 years. But before that, we have to make exemplary punishment to these people and try to deal with it. We have to deal with it at a long-term level and at an immediate level.
Yeah. The last point I wanted to make is, Emma, on 21st of this month is SSR's birthday, Sushant Singh's birthday. And people want to, remind, the judiciary, the CBI, that they've not forgotten. They're all very angry. And they're also saying that why has the CBI not, reacted or not put their point across? So are they sold? So now everybody feels that CBI is sold. So the anger is so, you can feel it among the public. It's a day
Okay.
that people will, join hands and again ask the federal agency, what are they doing? What is the Supreme Court doing?
Well, you don't say everybody believes that CBI is sold. I'm not one of those who believe that CBI is sold. Again, I repeat what I repeated in your
When I say
channels.
everybody, here I mean the SSRians
I know.
who celebrated their
I'm
birthday.
also a Cesarian.
Yeah, yeah,
I also any foul play in his death would sadden me no less than his family members. Having said that, I repeat that CBI has got all the instruments and ability to zero in on anybody who was a stranger to that place at that point in time when SSR was found to be dead. Meaning 12 hours prior, they can always find out who went where and how. I'm sure they can do this job professionally. But the bigger issue is there a restraining force politically that is ensuring that the CBI is not reaching to a logical conclusion? And given the state of Maharashtra politics, one suspects it is so. That's all I would say.
yeah. So, friends, I'd also like to tell you that on 21st, we'll be having a special session on SSR, and you can join in. Many people will be joining our channel to express their views and their anecdotes on SSR. So, it'll be a day of memory for this great actor who was killed most heinously. And let us not give up in our justice for Sushant. Thank you so much, Emma, for this wonderful session. As
Thank you.
always, clarifying a lot of things for our viewers as well. And we'll see
Yeah.
you in the next session.
You have
Good
to
night.
rush for the next show.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.